Who's ready to elect Carla Beck as our next premier?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this important day for Saskatchewan. I'm going to get right to it. It's time for change. I've been hearing that from people right across this province lately, and I'm here to say to them and to all Saskatchewan people, my name is Carla Beck, and I'm running to be your premier. Now, make no mistake, we've got a little bit of work ahead of us, but I've never been afraid of hard work, especially when the stakes are so high. The Saskatchewan that I grew up in was a place where people looked out for each other. On the farm, we relied on our neighbors, and our neighbors relied on us. Ours is a province where people set aside differences to dig in and get things done. And in Saskatchewan, we do get things done. We have a proud history of rolling up our sleeves and delivering results. That's how we became leaders in human rights, in labor rights, innovators, risk takers, trailblazers, with the work ethic to make it happen. It's how we built our crowns to deliver the services that people need in every corner of this province. And of course, it's how we led the entire continent, bringing in Medicare for all. We have a proud history in this province and in this party of punching well above our weight on front after front. But friends, under Scott Moe and the Sask Party, they've taken us from leaders to laggards on issue after issue. Saskatchewan is in last place in education, last place in healthcare, and second last when it comes to the economy. In fact, Scott Moe has the distinction of being the only premier in the entire country to have shrunk the economy before, during, and after the pandemic. That is his record. But it doesn't have to be this way. You deserve better. Ours is a province full of opportunity. And while Scott Moe is focused on division and distracting from his own record. It's that opportunity and that hope for a better future that we are focused on. A future where you can get the health care when and where you need it, where you don't have to drive out of the province or pay out of pocket to get it, where we respect healthcare workers as partners and not as an afterthought. We're working for a future where families can afford to put food on the table, keep a roof over their head, buy clothes for their kids, and maybe even save for that family vacation now and then. Where every child has that chance at a bright future that we all want for our kids, with a strong economy and safe communities to grow up in. With quality education where teachers and healthcare workers are respected as the professionals that they are. And I'll tell you what, if we're going to put up billboards, it'll be to thank them, not to vilify them. That is what I see in our future. Now, I know that Scott Moe and the Sask Party are going to tell you that it can't be done, but that's a choice. That's their choice. Make no mistake, we're in last place in education, in healthcare, in the cost of living because Scott Moe and the Sask Party put us there. And he's going to try to tell you that everything is just fine. But I ask the people of this province, all of you, are you better off than you were 6 years ago? Scott Moe has refused to offer Saskatchewan families relief. He hiked power bills, jacked up fees, and raised taxes while people in this province were already struggling. And he expanded the PST to include things like children's clothing. Children's clothing is not a luxury. But you know what is? His $1 million trip to Dubai. It's time in this province for a leader that will park the limos and step up to the plate. And that's exactly what I intend to do. Not only have I committed that I won't raise taxes on Saskatchewan people, as Premier, I'm going to cut taxes. And when it comes to how we're going to pay for it, I'll let you in on a little secret. Saskatchewan does not have a revenue problem. Saskatchewan has a management problem, a mismanagement problem. After 17 years, these guys are content to let Saskatchewan fall further and further behind, and they have clearly stopped listening to the people that they are supposed to serve. The truth is, what we can't afford in this province is another 4 years of corruption and waste from the Sask Party. We know that this election, Saskatchewan people are counting on us to deliver change, and I have just the team to do it. I want to tell you just one story, a recent story from the doorsteps. We were out door knocking in Regina University, and we saw a blue van pull by, flip a U-ey, and come back to us. And I saw the passenger jump out and march straight to us. And I wasn't sure what we were in for. And as this man got closer, I could see that he had tears in his eyes. And he stopped to tell us that his wife was a teacher. And even though it was just the first week, she was already exhausted. And he looked at us and he said, I am so glad, so encouraged to see you out here and how hard you're working. But what I remember most is what he said to me before he left. He looked me straight in the eye and he said, just keep going. I will. And I know we all will. I promise him and I promise all people in this province, we are going to work so damn hard. We will deliver the message to Saskatchewan people that there is a better way and that we don't have to settle for last place. And this election, you can vote for change. In a month's time, it will be the honor of this farm kid's life to serve as your premier. With that, I'm happy to take questions.
Saskatchewan Party leader's initial message today would be familiar to you. He talked about past record of the last NDP government. He talked about the current federal administration and the NDP role in propping that up in the carbon tax. What is your message to voters who might be paying particular attention to that message that obviously the Sask Party still sees as effective?
My message is this, and I said it in my opening remarks. I'm not surprised that Scott Moe is going to lean in to division to try to distract from his record. But the reality is that Scott Moe's record in this province has been to take us to last place on education, healthcare, cost of living. He's doubled the debt. He has refused to offer relief to Saskatchewan people. He's disrespected those who work in our schools, in our healthcare system. And simply, as people are saying to me, and I hear it time and time again, people are tired of that. They're looking for change. Our message is that better is possible. Better is what we're running on in this election, and that's exactly what we intend to deliver when this election is over.
When it comes to affordability, we heard already this morning from the Premier that that there are income tax cuts coming as part of his campaign. I'm wondering if you have anything directly to announce or anything to directly say about affordability measures that you bring in.
I would say this. I don't think that the Premier has understood just how much Saskatchewan people have been struggling, that they've been struggling for years. And this is a Premier who has not only not offered relief to Saskatchewan people, has actually made life more expensive. We have a plan to focus on the things that people tell us are most troubling to them: groceries, the children's clothing, gas, trying to put gas in their vehicle to get where they need to go. We've got a plan to deliver it right away. But I would also say Saskatchewan people need a government that will work for all people in this province and will work right across their mandate, right throughout their mandate, not just come in on the eve of an election and offer what they should have delivered 2 years ago while people were struggling.
You've made a lot of promises that are going to cost a lot of money over the next 4 years. How do you plan to pay for that? Are you going to put out like a costed platform with the numbers? Absolutely.
We are proud of the plan that we are going to put forward. It's fully costed, and those details will be coming shortly. As I said in my opening remarks, the problem in this province is not revenue. The problem is mismanagement. The problem is a government that refuses to invest in the things that people are consistently telling them are most important to them. Healthcare, education, the cost of living, ensuring safer communities. The government's record speaks clearly for itself. People can see it in their communities. People can feel it in their own personal finances. We need a government that is going to work with the people of the province to ensure that we're getting best value when we're spending those taxpayer dollars, and that can deliver results. Not just a government that makes promises at election time and does the opposite. We've seen this time and time again from this government. It's time for change.
You respond to $4 billion as Louise's question that the government has already costed in terms of your election promises. Do you find that figure accurate? If it's accurate, how will the budget adjustments be made?
You know, the first thing that they're off by a bit, but close. But you know, this is a government who I wouldn't trust necessarily their calculator. They've had a lot of trouble balancing their own budget. Scott Moe has doubled the debt, has created more debt in this province than any other premier in the shortest period of time, and still managed to underfund and take us to last place on education and healthcare and delivering relief. This is a government that has already spent $2 billion above what it budgeted in its last budget. As I said, our plan is fully costed. We are confident in those numbers. We will release it shortly, but we're also confident that what we're putting forward is a plan to effectively address the concerns that Saskatchewan people tell us are most important to them.
What number are you citing for the costing to date then, if they're off by a bit?
I'm slightly under 4 billion, but as I said, we'll make sure that you have all of those details and opportunity to ask us questions.
I'm slightly under 6 feet.
Me too. If pressed, I think 3.5, but again, we're talking over 4 years, investing in the things that, frankly, need that investment. Our kids' classrooms, where they don't get a chance at getting their education. Investing, not just investing in healthcare, but working with healthcare workers to ensure that we preserve what people in this province and right across this country value, that is our public healthcare system. It can be done. As I said, the problem is not revenue in this province. The problem is mismanagement and a lack of effectiveness from a very tired and out-of-touch government that has stopped listening to people.
How and when do you plan to balance the budget should you guys form government?
The plan is for balance by the end of 4 years.
And to focus a bit back on affordability, and I'm sure you've been asked similar questions to this in the past, but you've made promises around relieving the gas tax temporarily. The Sask party has kind of rebutted that, saying, well, then we can't pay for the roads if we do that. So what's your plan for the roads then if you were to cut the gas tax?
There is no plan to stop investing in roads. In fact, we've announced some places where roads desperately need some improvements. Again, I'm sorry, I had a bit of a reaction to that, but this is a government on one hand who says we can't do this, but it has announced something else this morning. This government's record speaks for itself, both in terms of their ability to balance a budget, but also in terms of their ability to effectively manage public health care, public education, provide relief, provide an effective strategy to reduce crime and address the determinants of crime in this province. That they're good at spending money, I'll give them that, but they're terrible at delivering results for Saskatchewan people. It has to be both.
I'm wondering if you can assure voters today that the NDP won't touch potash royalties, won't touch resource royalties. Wonder if I could get a reaction.
Yes, yeah, that was part of the initial statement on not increasing taxes.
What about the carbon tax specifically? What's the limit on that?
As it has been from day one, our call has been for the carbon tax to be scrapped. This is a measure that has not been effective. We have increasing costs and increasing emissions at a time when we can't afford either. It's not been effective. It is also terribly unpopular, and that has been our position for a very long time. There are other ways that we can reduce emissions without punishing provinces such as ours that have historically contributed so much when it comes to energy generation in this province. There's a way to, again, be more effective, but we don't see a government that's looking for solutions. They look for fights. They don't often deliver, and Saskatchewan people are left dealing with the impact of how ineffective they have been on front after front.
When it comes to something like the Beacon Baker irrigation project, I know we're talking about a lot of the spending that the government's committed to. I'm wondering what the future of that project looks like.
As with any project, big or small, but especially any project that is looking or proposes billions of dollars of investment, we need to ensure that we're doing our due diligence on it, that there's a return on that investment, that there's proper planning, that there's transparency, that people have the opportunity to express, where their concerns or questions might be. That's what people expect when you're spending billions of dollars. That's what we've committed to on that particular project, but it's how we would approach any major project in this province. Two things that I don't see this government doing consistently: listening to those who are most impacted or who are on the front lines or who might have expertise in an area, and being transparent with the people of this province about their spending decisions, about so many of their decisions. Again, in rooms big and small, people that you might not expect or we traditionally haven't heard from, we're hearing from people that this is a government that simply isn't listening. They're making so many decisions in small rooms, in Regina, in the legislature, without input from Saskatchewan people. That frustrates people at all levels of government, and it's another reason why people are saying it's time for change.
In order to win this election, I know that you're going to need to pick up votes in rural Saskatchewan, so just want to get a sense from you about what you plan to do to appeal to rural voters, basically your plan for the folks outside of the major cities.
Yeah. Not only do we need votes and support in all areas of the province, what we're proposing is to be a government for all people in this province, in all areas of this province. One of the first things that we did, and we've been doing this for years, is to do the first step. Go out and listen to the people of this province. Seek to understand not only where their concerns are, but the solutions that they would like to see, the things that they would like to see prioritized by their government. It's been pretty consistent in every area of the province. People are concerned about the lack of health care, and in fact, rural health care has been impacted the most, in many ways, by the failures of this government in healthcare. 21% of nurses in this province, rural nurses, are no longer practicing. Those closures, when people drive up to their ER needing care, those pieces of paper saying, sorry, this ER is closed, most often that happens in rural Saskatchewan. 40,000 jobs we've lost in rural Saskatchewan. The list goes on and on. Rural schools are not being funded properly, just as in urban centers. Focusing on those things, finding that common ground, the things that all people in this province value, is how we've seen growth right across the province. I know I've heard from candidates who have been door knocking in rural Saskatchewan, who did that previously. Something's different out there now. People are looking for change. It's not just in the cities. It's right across the province. I think people in this province are very practical. They want to see governments that make decisions in the best interests of the people of the province, not just in their own political best interests. They want to see the governments be effective in how they spend tax dollars. They want governments that will listen. That's what we're proposing. There are solutions to be found here. We're going to do that with the people of this province. As I said, our platform we're very proud of. People are going to recognize themselves in it because it has been built with the input, with those concerns, with those dreams of the people of Saskatchewan. And I can't wait to continue to take that message right across the province.
Is that plan of attack different than what the NDP's done in the past? I imagine that you've been door knocking in rural areas before.
Yeah, I mean, the reception certainly is different. As I said, people who haven't heard from any politician for a long time. There's very much a sense in rural Saskatchewan, the Sask Party, has taken them for granted. There's a frustration out there. When they hear what we're proposing, not what the Sask Party says about us, but what we're actually proposing, people are receptive. People know that the things that we're focusing on are the things that they're worrying about, that are keeping them up at night. The work that this team has been putting in is like something I've never seen before. Not just the MLAs, certainly the MLAs and the candidates, but the volunteers, the staff, people right across this province who are saying, you know, I've been quiet for too long. I can't sit this one out. I want to be part of this. We deserve change. I like what you guys are doing. I respect how hard you're working. I think you can deliver the change that Saskatchewan people are looking for. I wouldn't bet against this team.
Do you have any thoughts, the countdown is on to election day now, do you have any thoughts on electronic polling books and poll counters, vote counters not being used in this election even though they were used in by-election?
No, it's not something I've given a lot of thought to, honestly, for a long time. But I will see this broadly. People in this province are pretty practical. They are not afraid of change. You know, that decision has been made in this election. We've got a plan to move ahead. It's not something I'm going to be bringing up in the election, but it was a choice that was made. Again, we're focused on the future. We're focused on this election. You know, the government has made a lot of choices that, you know, I'm going to set aside just to focus on the things that are in front of us right now.
Any last questions? Okay, let's hear it for Carla Beck.